Warm greeting, friends. Warm greetings. Hello. Good to see you all again. Again, we'll just take a moment, like usual, to reconnect with our motivation. So the reason we're here, reflecting on Dharma and trying to take this moment to pause and connect, is really essentially trying to reactivate our own goodness, our own strength and courage and clarity of vision, and also with the goodness in other people. So that's Bodhichitta. Just try to shine that on. Right now, we'll do that for a moment, and then also kind of reconnect with that kind of strong, that certainty that everyone has this goodness, and that things are fundamentally workable, and opportunities kind of in our favor to shine this beauty we have out more. So we'll just do that for a moment. Great, so I was talking with one of my awesome nephews yesterday, and we came to the definitive conclusion that in all of existence, the entire universe, there are only two things: squirrels and not squirrels. This true?
Piques my curiosity.
Okay, so it could sound odd, so I'll repeat it again. The only things in the whole universe: squirrels and not squirrels. Sounds funny. So maybe unless you're a squirrel, then it might sound very true. So let's cut it up in a different way. Clocks and not clocks. Is that true? The only things that exist. It's true. Right? But is it helpful? So the Buddha was not saying just what's true, but what's helpful. Because it sounds funny. Squirrels and not squirrels, right? Like, that's so ridiculous. Who would think of that? But don't we do that? Pleasure and pain. Good and bad. Americans, non-Americans, Buddhists, non-Buddhists. Don't we do this? And is it helpful? Right? So the big bedrock time, one thing we all can agree on, regardless of squirrels or clocks or Americans or Buddhists, we all believe there's me and not me. No matter where we're from, what language we speak, what time we live in, we really, deep in our very core, I definitely do. There's me and there's everything else. And that's how I navigate every single moment of my life. And the Buddha asked us, is this helpful? Because it is true. But does it have all the truth? We can cut up a pie, the pie of reality in the universe, in any varieties of ways. So say we want to get more sophisticated and say it's not me and not me, we can just break it down a little bit. It's me, not both me and not me, not neither me and not me. right? Did the Buddha did that? Didn't the Buddha have all kinds of boxes like this? 4 Noble Truths. Isn't that a complete description of reality? Suffering, its cause, cessation of suffering, and its cause. The 3 turnings of the wheel of Dharma, the 5 aggregates and 5 elements, the 5 dhyana Buddhas, the 9 yanas, the 3 yanas, the 1 yana. These are all true boxes. They are all true things we could believe in. And then the question is it helpful? And then the question becomes, is it helpful for me right now? Because we're all going to assume the me, not me. That we all share as sentient beings. As ridiculous as that is. And as functional as that is, if I'm hungry, I feed food to myself. I don't throw it on the ground. It's very functional to believe in me and not me. Poisonous and not poisonous. Healthy and unhealthy. These are really important distinctions to make, but how helpful are they? And so the question is, not what box is right, but what box is helpful for me right now? And as we start to look at that a little more and a little more, we kind of start to see that everyone has this way of experiencing reality. There's me and not me. And so another way to say that is me and the world. And the real practical thing to kind of swallow and really see is a fundamental result of that way of framing experience is who is going to win the arm wrestling match of me versus the world. I will always lose. How could I win that game? How could anyone? It is a win-lose game. So, one of the challenges the Buddha was saying is, 1, look to ourselves. How are we cutting up reality? And is it helpful? And 2, are there other ways to step into reality, into boxes, to make distinctions, to understand what's good and wrong, right, bad, good, helpful, unhelpful? Are there other ways to do it that could actually include more of experience, more of the diversity and the richness of life? And he asked us to look at that for ourselves. Because anytime we make a division and we say mine and not mine, in, out, then everything that's on the outside, there's 2 ways of experiencing that. We build the wall, right? Outside is either a threat or it's an opportunity. Is it a threat where we need to defend against that at all costs because it's the bad guy or it's the enemy, it's the unknown? Or is it an opportunity? It's the unknown. Wow, what's that like? How's that work? Is it a threat or an opportunity? Because if we think everything outside of our box, whatever our box is, it could be all men, all Buddhists, all sentient beings, there's a box, and there's different sizes and different textures and different varieties and different things that they include and not. But anytime we hold a box, we hold a system, we hold a frame, we hold a context, we hold a container, there's something we leave out. And that thing we leave out, is it scary, and so we should defend against it? Or is it interesting, and so we should check it out a little more? And the Buddha said, do both. Right? The fundamental takeaway of this, because everything is kind of distilled into these essential gems that we're trying to distill the essence of everything because we're so flooded with information now. The fundamental takeaway of kind of what I'm throwing out there to consider right now is a bedrock kind of question for our Ngondro practice is, are we going to choose how to experience our life? Or are we going to let something else choose it for us? Because if we don't take on, when we have to frame experience, this is Ngondro time, then I stand up and do my non-session time. That is a frame, it is a box. Meditation and post-meditation is a box. But does that box help me or not? Do I intentionally take on that box? I own that frame, that distinction, that division. Do I really joyfully engage it? These are my limits. This is what I'm working with. This is the game I'm playing right now. Soccer. Ngondro. Being a parent. Eating dinner. These are all frames. When I'm in that frame, whatever that frame is, because we're always framing our experience with a view, does that frame make me curious and open to more experience? Not just what's outside of the box, but what's in the box. Ooh, what does this taste like? Ooh, what's my kid? What are they saying right now? Oh, Buddhism. Well, what's this? I've never looked at this part of Buddhism. Oh, non-Buddhism? Oh, what's that other view? What did they say? How do they make sense of that? And do they think an enlightenment exists or true or not? How does it work for them? So we can either really intentionally, consciously engage how we frame our experience. We can choose it for ourselves. Or we can have it forced on us. And the thing is when we're little babies and we're kids and we're adults, almost everything we experience, we don't get to choose. Because we don't get to choose who walks in the room and what they say. We don't get to choose, if we go to a restaurant, we don't get to choose how the food tastes if we didn't cook it. We don't get to choose what the weather's going to be like today. We don't get to choose the memory that's going to randomly pop into my mind right now. We can choose how are we going to frame it? How are we going to engage it? With curiosity or with fear? It's the unknown. They're both unknown. I can cook the meal or not cook the meal, and I really don't know how it's going to turn out until I taste it. They're both unknown. But is it going to be an interesting, curious, heart-opening unknown? Or is it going to be a contracting, shut down, tense, locked up unknown? Is Ngondro going to be experienced as this giant burden that we have to plow through because that's what a good Buddhist does? Right? There's times like that. Or is Ngondro going to be experienced as an adventure? What is my mind doing right now? I'm totally freaking out doing these prostrations. I'm totally freaking out doing this mandala thing. Oh, I love this Vajrasattva practice. Please, I want to do more of this. Oh, I hate this Vajra practice. I can't even do another one. Because our mind's going to do all of this stuff because it's energetic and we can't stop it. And why would we want to? It would be the end. No more mind, no more me, game over. And for some people, that would be a relief. No more suffering. Game over. There's a self. It's a problem. Why don't I just blow it up? Right? A lot of us try that. There's an other. It's a problem. Why don't I just blow it up? Or avoid it? Or romanticize it? Or obsess about it? Or make this giant wall where it's held in this very specific, suffocated, saran-wrapped way that it can't dynamically live and breathe as an actual living thing. My practice, my mind, myself. Because the thing is we're making all these boundaries and divisions all the time. Me as a good person, me as a bad person, me as a good practitioner, as a bad practitioner, as a brother, a son, a daughter, a Buddhist, a non-Buddhist, a dancer, a writer. Is it helpful or not? Are we going to use these divisions we make to foster more curiosity and include more of experience? Are we going to choose to use frames, views, systems that cause us to open up and get really fresh and engaged? Or are we going to just experience life as this thing we have to slug through because it's brief, brutal, and short and nasty, and like, please just let me get through it, and finally I can retire, and then I can really do what I want. Finally, I'll get my Ngondro done, then I can do what I really want. Right? I only say this because I have these things happen in my mind. I've done enough practice in a very short time to see that my mind jumps around all the time. And it can make something into a devil, and it can make something into a god. And I deify and I demonize all the time. Do you do that? Because if something is a demon, all bad, or a god, all good, and there's anything outside of that, we lose that game. Because there's always going to be another. There's always going to be an unknown that's not included, and that is going to be unpredictable, uncertain, uncontrollable, and when it comes down to it, how are we going to react to the new thing, as a threat or as an opportunity? And that's what the beauty of being a human being is, a sentient mind that actually has dynamic movement and is actually alive, a sentient mind. We get stuck in these frames, these habits, these patterns, don't we? And like Trungpa Rinpoche said, which is so powerful and impactful for me, it's like, I'm going to paraphrase, unless you've really experienced heartbreak, your warriorship is untrustworthy. Unless we've held on to something that we love, a frame, a view, a person, an experience, a sense of self, that we have cherished and cared for, and after time, it broke, it changed, it left. We lost it. Unless we experience heartbreak, the dissolving of that boundary, our warriorship, our confidence, our courage, our bodhisattva motivation to really care for all beings genuinely is untrustworthy. It's just talk. So when the boundaries we hold on to, some of them are so loving and so important and so fundamentally good and valuable, like practicing the Dharma. If we get into a mood or a time, a phase, it could be minutes, it could be years, where it gets dry and stale and brittle and doesn't have vitality. It could be a session, it could be longer. When our boundary gets hazy and all of a sudden we can't relate to it in the same way, what do we do? Because that hazy, limbo, vulnerable, wounded, open, unknown, bardo, flex time, that is the ripe, rich time to open, to include more, to freshly live in the gap of unprescribed, unscripted, unknown now. Because we can't control it, And all of a sudden we lost our map because it broke. It was lost. That's the open time for a practitioner, to really have their heart come on, have their vision clarify, to have their life light up. And so that's the path. Prepare, map. Study. And what do we do after we study? Always we poise, we release, we let go. Study and hone, samadhi, concentration, framing, then relax and open and have insight and let vipassana happen. And patiently do it again and again and again and again. Hold, release. Hold, release. So the question is, the thing we're holding on to, the system, the thing we're concentrating on, the thing we're studying, are we doing it with curiosity and entering in the unknown so that it's more enlivening, more courageous, more caring, more authentic, more vulnerable, more me as I really am, Buddha nature? We hold that. And then we open and relax and release and let it do what it does. And our frame opens and it gets bigger. And we include more people and more beings more genuinely. And we also love and include what we held inside more thoroughly. We love ourselves more thoroughly. We love our system more thoroughly. We study Buddhism more thoroughly. We study non-Buddhism more thoroughly. Right? Because the whole thing isn't just to break through all the frames and not ever really care for any of it. It's to really embody and inhabit where we're at and how we frame, and keep opening and keep opening. That's the Dharma path. And there's a million ways that we're going to freeze those frames. And there's a million ways that we're going to get hurt and not be ready to deal with that hurt. And so we need to stay in our system, stay in our bodies, stay in our experience, stay in our study, and really nourish that system so that we can grow into that open, aha, teachable moment where a Vajra master or a teacher can just tap that armor we always hold, that frame that we love, and it tap, tap, tap. And then there's the weakness in the armor. And instead of contracting and freezing and gripping with deathly fear and terror, we open and relax into the break and let that vulnerability fully allow our Buddha nature to come through. So I think that's the path. It can be summed up as squirrels and not squirrels. But is it helpful to do it that way? Buddhist and not Buddhist? Beginning and not beginning? Enlightenment and not enlightenment? We need to make these divisions, but we need to really be aware of when we do them, it's just a temporary working model. The only purpose it has is to undo itself to make a better temporary working model. So that again, we can relax and open and let the dissolution, the dissolving, the flex flow, kind of more wiggly, unknown opportunity, live with really much more vibrant, dynamic energy of our own kind of awareness. So when a teacher does that, it's called provocation. Ding, ding, ding. Tap, tap, tap on the frames we love and cherish. And all of a sudden there's a Huh? Wait, what? Can we open and relax or wall off? And then even more deeply the question, when someone we don't know shows up, tink, 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 and all of a sudden there's something we can't control, do we open and relax, or do we tense up and fight? Is the unknown going to be an endless war or an endless opportunity? And I really think the Dharma path is offering a provocative question for us to see how we're holding experience and really own it and see, is this how I want to hold myself, my sense of me? And when that doesn't stick based on new information, new experience, am I going to let myself open and be even more beautiful, more dynamic, and more curious? Or am I going to shut down and tense up? That's it. I say that as like, let your Ngondro opportunity only become the launch pad for the next very unexpected, unknown window of the next session. It's just going to keep provoking us. And hopefully we lean into that as being a lojong mind training opportunity of relaxing further and learning more and loving ourselves and others just more genuinely, more real from our own side, and not just be a victim of this big experience that we can't control, but be like, I am a wounded being. I have all these limitations. And that's why I'm awesome. Because all those little wounds and vulnerabilities, that's where my Buddha nature can open through and become even more connected to other beings and more caring for their experience, the way they frame it, the way they know it, and they love it, and they're scared of it. And all of a sudden, it's about me serving them and caring for them and listening to them. And I show up to them, and my other awesome nephew, I asked him, if you're in the lunchroom, and there's no one to sit with, and you see a new person you've never seen before, and you take the brave move and you go up to them. And if you can ask them one question, what's the question? What's one of your favorite things? Because all of a sudden you're in their system and they're just in love with it. And then you get to listen and get in love with it too. And all of a sudden it's you and them. And it's not a fight. It's a partnership. It's a friendship. And the world becomes such a more beautiful, lovely place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.